Hey everybody, Asia Stars here, back again. All right, so what we're going to be talking about is taxes, and I'm going to talk more towards small business owners, right? So, what I'm going to be giving you is some 8 tax saving tips for small businesses, right? So, if y'all don't know already, taxes can be something that people dread to do, just like doing a budget. But it doesn't have to be dreadful, right? There are some saving tips in which that you can utilize in order to save time, in order to save money when it comes to your taxes. Now, we all know that the tax system is more favorable towards businesses and real estate, but we're going to be focused more on the business side instead of real estate when you're like a real estate investor and all that good stuff. But back to small businesses or large businesses or whatever the case you want to call it. But we're going to be talking about 8 things, right? 8 things in which that can save you money and save you time. Now, taxes really don't have to be complicated, but you have to come to a place to where you are in tax compliance. And so what tax compliance is just making sure that you're filing on time, making sure that you are claiming that in which that you're claiming you're eligible for, you have the proper documentations and all that good stuff. But what people don't realize is that sometimes that the IRS looks at patterns with your taxes. And so if you come to a place to where your pattern is off or your income is off towards the tax credit or the tax deduction in which that you are claiming, then sometimes they will flag that. But needless to say, I want to go ahead and jump on in because you know me, I like to be short and sweet and to the point. So, the first tip in which that I'm going to give you when it comes to tax savings for small businesses, right, is to keep your tax documents. So remember a while back we talked about what to shred and what to keep. And so with this one right here, you're going to want to keep your documents for at least 3 to 4 years, right? So we know the IRS, sometimes they like to go back and audit things. So we want to keep our documentations. We want to keep our returns and all that good stuff for at least 3 to 4 years, just in case the IRS want to come back and do something or look into something, whatever the case may be. We have that documentation. We have that particular documentation, just in case. We rather be safe than sorry. Okay. So the next tip that small businesses can use when it comes to tax savings is you got to know your deadlines, okay? You got to know the deadline. So everybody knows that April the 15th is the deadline. April the 15th is the deadline. It's always going to be the deadline, and more than likely, it's never going to change. So April the 15th is the deadline in which that you are supposed to submit your tax returns, right? Now, if you're not ready on April the 15th, you can always do an extension, right? So an extension allows you to do your taxes or turn in your tax return. I think it's around October the 16th, 17th, 15th, or something like that, but I know it's in October. They give you until October to do your tax returns, right? Now, that does not mean if you owe, you still owe, right? You got an extension, but you still owe. But the point of filing the extension is to make sure that you don't get penalized because we don't want to tip Uncle Sam more than what he already do. Okay, so know your deadline, April the 15th. Now, there are some corporations, which is a C corporation, more than likely their tax returns are due at the end of the year, which is December 31st. But if you're not no C Corp, if you something else, LLC, sole proprietor, S Corp, April the 15th. If you're doing extension, it's somewhere in October. Now, the third tax savings tip for business, small businesses, is understand your loans. Okay, so if you got a loan out there, a business loan or whatever the case may be for your business, even though you can't write off the loan, because they don't consider the loan as income. So even though you can't write off the loan, you can still write off the interest on that loan. So when you get your tax prepped by a tax professional like me, you just make sure that you let them know, hey, here goes the interest on my loans. I want this to be, written off. Okay. So that is a tax deduction in which that you can utilize in order to lower, your tax bill. Now, the fourth tip is when it comes to tax savings for a business is to know the different types of audits. So you have to realize is that people get so nerved up about audits, but there's nothing fearful to be when it comes to audits. If you know that you got your documentation and there's a certain way that you do document, which is another lesson all by itself, but there's nothing to be afraid when it comes to audits, right? So even though you might be intimidated by the audit, but when you know what you know, there's nothing to fear. So there's this thing called office audits, right? So an office audit is something simple to the way that you are being requested to report to the local IRS office to resolve some discrepancies. So that's when you go face to face to the IRS, a federal building, whatever the case may be. And you have to turn in documentations or whatever the case may be for the discrepancy in which that they have found or whatever the case may be. But here's the good thing is that the IRS is just regular people. There's nothing to fear. I don't know why people just get so afraid. They're just a tax collection agency. They collect taxes for the government. They're not the official government. They just work for the government to collect taxes from the taxpayer. That's their job. Okay? They're regular people who have a salary. Some of them probably underpaid, just like you, but there's nothing to fear. Okay, so I want y'all to get around this spirit of fear that's trying to attack you when they're just regular people. You're a regular person. I'm a regular person. The person next to you is a regular person. They are regular people as well. And just know that they're not always right. They do get it wrong because they are human beings, okay? So again, office audit is when you go to the IRS facility, whatever the case may be, and there's a discrepancy and you are basically providing them documentations or even I want to use the right word. I want to say battle, but that's not the right word. I can't think of it right now. So, anywho, the next audit is a correspondence audit, right? So this is when you'll just be asked to send documentations via mail or fax. So they have it to where some people might be getting letters in the mail, okay? And that's how the IRS corresponds in letters. So if the IRS sends you a letter in the mail saying, hey, we need some documentation on this, you can mail it to this address, or you can fax it, or they even have it to where you can scan a QR code and upload the documents there, which is much more faster. So that's a particular type of audit. Now there's a field audit, right? So these tend to be a more thorough audit, right? To where they conduct it at your place of business. So this is where the IRS comes to your business and they do an audit. Y'all see that on the movies. That's what that is. And then the fourth one is a criminal investigation audit. So this is one where you're gonna need to consult your lawyer. Okay, you're being suspected for tax evasion. Don't want to go that far. So those are different levels, right? Nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. Just turn in your documentations, whatever the case may be. Or unfortunately, if you don't have the documentation, just submit your tax return. Just amend them. That's all you got to do. Now, the fifth tax savings for a business is to pay your quarterly taxes. Oh, this is such one that I really need to talk about, right? Because I've seen so many times where small business owners don't pay their taxes. Then they come to the tax professional wanting a refund. Dude, you ain't pay no taxes. So how can you expect a return when you ain't pay no taxes? You know you're supposed to pay them quarterly, right? You know that, right? So if you are self-employed, please pay your taxes. Unless you're the type of person that wants to zero it out. Now that's the way to go. Man, I just zero it out. I just want to break even, just zero it out. Or give me a dollar refund or something like that. You get what I'm saying? That's really how the mind really is supposed to think when it comes to tax return. But the average American wants a refund. And it looks like the way that it's going because the IRS is catching on. They catching on. And again, they are a tax collection agency that works for the government that wants to collect taxes from the taxpayer. They're not in business to return money to you. They're in business to take money from you, okay? So the IRS is catching on, even though last year they collected almost $5 trillion. But pay your taxes, especially small business owners, because it's just so much that we can do as tax professionals and pay them on a quarterly basis. All you got to do is go to irs.gov and submit them payments and make sure that you keep a record of it. So when you do your taxes, you get what I'm saying? You can report that and you just won't be in a pickle, you know? You just won't be in a pickle. So, just make it a habit, you know, when you, and it depends on what state that you're in. I know with Texas, you have sales tax, and then you have franchise tax, you know, so you got to look at that as well. It just depends on what state that you live in. So the sixth thing, tip that you can utilize in your business to save is to prepare early. Every year, we know this, every year, we're going to have to come to April the 15th. Don't wait till the last minute because we have to go through this every year. We have to submit a return every single year. So go ahead and start early instead of waiting to the last minute, because if you miss that deadline or if you miss the deadline to even file the extension, you're gonna be looking like what the freaking hell, you know what I mean? So just prepare early. The seventh thing that you can utilize is to get help, okay? Get a tax professional who knows what to do in order to help you to make sure that you save on taxes. And the eighth tip that you can utilize in your business is to avoid using taxes collected from your employee payroll for business expenses. Don't mix it up. Even if you have to get a bank account that all your revenue comes in, then you have a separate bank account where all your expenses, this is your expense, account. Then you have a bank account where you pay yourself. This is your personal account. Then you have a bank account. It's okay to have them many bank accounts. There's nothing wrong with that. Then you have a bank account to where, okay, this is my taxes bank account. This is the money that I'm transferring from the revenue to the tax account so I can make sure that I pay my taxes. Okay. So make sure that you are not using the taxes in which that you collect from your employees' payroll to pay them business expenses, because when it comes to the end of the day and you ain't got that money, you're gonna be looking like a pickle. Okay. So those are the 8 things in which that you can do. We're gonna go through them. We're gonna go through them real quick. The first one is to keep your tax documents for at least 3 to 4 years. Number 2, know your deadline, which is April the 15th. Number 3, understand your loans. You can write off the interest on your loans. Number 4, know the difference between audits. You have an office audit, a correspondence audit, a field audit, and a criminal investigation audit. Number 5, pay your quarterly taxes, especially you small business owners. Number 6, prepare early. Number 7, get help from a tax professional. And then number 8, avoid using taxes collected from your employee payroll to pay business expenses. Okay. So I hope that you enjoyed this live. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, love, follow, and all that good stuff. Okay. So tune in next time where we're going to be talking about something else. Don't know, but it's going to be something that you can utilize in your business. So until next time, bye.